So we're back at it on Monday again. It is 10:27 Monday morning, the 7th of March. And I am on my way to a couple of properties to check on some work that was done, and then some damage that was reported by our showing agent. We'll follow up on those. But I was really looking forward to doing this, and I recorded yesterday, and yesterday's recording, to me, while I was doing it, was probably the most substantial recording that I've done so far, because I actually really got into some subject matter that I felt really excited and passionate about, and really felt excited to pass along. And when I was done with it, I felt like I had completed the most impressive conveyance of thought that I have since I've started on this video route. But there was some subject matter that was leading up to that I've been thinking about, and really wanted to try and convert that into something that could be passed along, and that's kind of what I talked about. And while I did that and was excited about it and felt like I had really accomplished something, and I was actually looking forward to watching it back, and was able to yesterday lay down on my futon patio swing and watch it back. And I think it's 30 some minutes, and I watched the whole thing, and I really enjoyed it, but I really felt like it came up just a little short, and that just might be my interpretation of it. But I felt like there was just certain aspects thing. It's just even though I didn't specifically note it, I mean that's pretty much a benchmark in scientific circles to write something and have it published. I mean, even to get your degree, you have to write, a thesis or some type of a paper to be able to prove to others that you can convey knowledge and have it be absorbed by somebody else. It's the same thing, just a different tact, a different approach. And while I was watching that back yesterday, that was the only thing I could think about, was that it just seemed, as much as I was trying to elaborate and present the idea that everything is multifaceted and there's so many different ways to get to a specific point, it to me came off as single-sided, and that was not my intent. So again, it's a matter of understanding our language. It's a matter of choosing the words that best convey what you're trying to pass along, and sometimes there's just not a vocabulary to encapsulate what you're trying to pass along. So that's where I kind of got into the idea of more of a hidden or subliminal passing on of information in the words themselves, because the words themselves do carry a certain energy. There's a certain unseen force that those words carry. And even though you may be writing a science fiction story, the words that you use could be passing along something that's much deeper than what the words themselves describe. So, having, I guess, clarified that, I'm back to the whole idea of this whole process is nothing if I don't have an audience, if I don't have another side, something. If there's no interaction, then it's it's empty words going out there, and somebody may stumble across them in my lifetime, and somebody may not, and there's probably, I couldn't even estimate how many people have produced works of merit throughout the history of humankind that received no acknowledgement, received no audience. And hopefully I don't fall into that category, but there's no guarantee. We're just here now at the first property that I need to check in on. But so when I finished that yesterday, I was really thinking about, because I was so impressed with it when I was done with it, is just attaching that link. I got it uploaded, it's on YouTube, and I got this impulse to just attach that YouTube link into an email and send it to some of the people that I really thought might understand or appreciate that. I even thought about just taking it and sharing it on Facebook, although that idea terrifies me. For reasons that I've discussed in other recordings, which I'm not going to go into any detail on now, but it's just, I don't know if that's the audience that I want to start off with, but it might be the best way to break into a public site. And I'm still toying around with the idea of doing that, but have made no decisions. But yesterday I wanted to force it along. I just wanted to throw it out there and see what sticks. And I was really feeling a certain amount of emptiness this morning in not having an audience. But as I was driving to work, something kind of hit me about energy and magnetism, and in theory, if the energy that I'm conveying through thought and writing and in these conveyance of information through recordings. In theory, similar interested parties will be drawn to it. Someone will come across it. Someone will be drawn to it. In just like magnetism, it'll bring people in, but it'll also repel others. And this is really where me not wanting to go the route of exposing myself on Facebook to people that I know is the audience that you're going to be exposing yourself to. And ideally, what I would want is an audience that can understand, accept, and contribute, and definitely don't want to deal with the ignorance of others that are going to be let's say just violently objective to what I have to say and where I'm going with this. So in theory, the violent objection from ignorant minds would be avoided, because in a sense of magnetism, they would be a polar opposite of what I'm presenting and would not be drawn to or be inclined to look for or even read it if they came across it, whereas other individuals that are ready to expand consciousness and move forward with personal as well as multi-level evolution would be drawn to it. But again, every day that I make a post and put it on there and then follow up with a check the next day or a repost and see that I have yet to gain an audience is somewhat discouraging. But it also, in my mind, allows me the idea of developing more of a comfort zone, to get more comfortable in doing this, to create a larger body of work to start with. And I talked about this some time back as well, because it's not what I'm trying to present can't be presented in a single presentation, and it's highlighting and shining a spotlight on specific individual topics and expanding on those, but with a single presentation or a single recording or even a handful, there's not enough structure and substance there to, I think, keep somebody engaged. And I'm anticipating that I'm going to find like-minded, similarly structured personalities drawn to this that are going to want to take it in bits and pieces and a little at a time. And it reminds me of the book The Morning of the Magicians, which was written a long time ago, but in the introduction to that, they had written that it's a subject matter that's of metaphysical, supernatural nature, whatever, but it was never written to be read cover to cover, going through the pages chronologically. It was meant to be pick it up, open it up, and if something seems interesting to you to that day, read it, and then just kind of scroll through and pick and choose what it is. And that's, to me, the most effective way to personally evolve. Again, everybody's going to have an individual approach, and there's not going to be any set right or wrong. As long as the information is there and people have access to it, they'll find it, and they'll find it in their own time, the time that best suits them, and they'll read and absorb whatever is pertinent to their current situation. And every day that I log in and I see one more post on my YouTube account, one more potential link that someone could open up and look at, and even I will open them up and look at them and be like, there's nothing in this that has any effect on me today, but something else might, and it'll be different the next day. So in creating that body of work, I'm building that base. I'm building that library of sorts that can be accessed at any time from anybody, and hopefully at some point I will gain an audience, and hopefully sometime here in the near future I get some kind of interactions going on a positive level that help me move forward in the direction that I'm hoping to go. So that's really all I wanted to talk about at that. Again, my weekend was great. We had tickets for the hockey game on Friday. We had tickets for the Spurs game on Saturday. I've never been to an NBA game, so it was super exciting to go and be there. I love live events of any kind, really. It doesn't have to be. I love, theater, concerts, sporting events. I love being in the middle of that mix and being able to play around with that energy that's there. And that's an impressive experience, being at a Spurs game with that many people that fanatical about one thing. And it was a huge experience for me. I loved it, and it was great. And had the UFC fights. I probably don't talk about it much, but I'm a huge martial arts and mixed martial arts fan, and was really looking forward to seeing Conor McGregor fight. I'd never seen him fight before, and was really looking forward to that. And just the task that he was taking on was extremely impressive to me, from a martial arts and an athletic standpoint, to change weight classes and go to a weight class much larger than the one he's in, and still really hold his own. He lost, but it was a gracious loss, and he did well. I was very impressed with that. And then the Holly Holm and Miesha Tate fight, again, I really wanted to see that. There's just a lot of history back and forth in those in the top contenders in that division, that weight class, and I was really excited to see that fight, and it was a great fight. Did not disappoint. So it was a great weekend for me to have all those things. I had some fantastic workout on Saturday. For the first time, actually, I've mentioned that I feel like my strength is coming back more and more, and it was the first day in this cycle of being back on weights that I've actually felt strong. I had my bench press up in the high 100s, in the 170, 180. Actually, I didn't even hit 170. I started out at 180 and kept in the 180 to 200 range, and even pushed a token 200 at the end of my workout, just so I could say that I did it. And it's the first time again that I feel like my strength has rebounded, and I'm physically becoming stronger and mentally becoming stronger. We went to lunch yesterday, and I don't really talk a lot about politics, but it's definitely something that I'm heavily interested in, and have a lot of theory and a lot to say about, but have yet to really open up about that. And again, I share very little with Rhonda, and we've touched on the subject a couple times over the last few days, and it came up again, and I was actually able to just kind of say, all right, well, this is really what I believe. This is the basis of my political ideology. This is what I think. And it was just really quick. It was less than 5 minutes, but it was like I touched on all the major aspects of it and some of my ideas and theories behind politics and government, and I said it out loud, and I said it in a public place, and I didn't feel uncomfortable about it, which is what I've really been fighting, is that discomfort of expressing that, because where I'm at and how many different paths I'm traveling on simultaneously, and how much information I'm trying to convey on each different path, politics just seems like one right now in government that I could get lost in very easily, and I'm trying to stay focused and stay true to myself, and traveling multiple paths at the same time and communicating on multiple fronts is the direction I want to go, and I definitely don't want to get sucked into any one that's going to monopolize my time, really. So but it was good. It was refreshing to me, and it really just bolstered the idea that I'm getting more comfortable with speaking aloud the things that are going through my head and finding the words that actually convey the thought that I'm having. So a great weekend on all fronts for that, but it left me very this would be. I did not want to go to the office this morning. I really wanted to continue down that path and find a way to be able to do this, to be able to sit and talk and communicate and convey and really expand thought, expand consciousness, and figure out a way to generate income on it. And yesterday it just seemed like it was all possible, and it was just a click away. All I had to do was just boom. All I had to do was reach out to a couple of people with a couple of links, and the fire was started, and I'm off and running. But again, hesitant to do that. A little bit of fear still holding me back on that front, and again, a little bit disappointed getting up this morning and having to put my costume on, which is really what this is. Every time I have to take my my piercings out to convert back into a respectable figure for the job that I do, and I have to put on dress pants and dress shoes, and not that I dislike getting dressed up, it just feels like anything that I'm obligated to do is obviously not something that I want to do. And again, putting on a costume and coming in and playing the role of property manager was not high on my list of things to do today, but I've been very effective and efficient this morning. I've taken care of a lot of things that needed to be taken care of. There were issues that came up toward the end of the week. There were things that were slotted and scheduled to be addressed at the beginning of this week, which I've taken care of, and now I'm following up with other necessities of my job by going to these properties, and I'm hesitantly moving forward with it, but I'm staying true to my own code of ethics, my own personal work ethic, and contributing what I need to contribute to an employer who in exchange gives me a paycheck and gives me Spurs tickets and hockey tickets, and pays for us to go to conventions in parts of the country we've never been to. So again, it's an exchange. I'm trading my skills, even though I oftentimes consider it the menial lower end of my potential and what I have to offer, but it's in exchange for doing that, I earn a salary, and it allows me to do some of the things that I've wanted to do, and it's given me the freedom to continue to pursue my life in the way that I want to. And even though I'm trying to make some changes now in how I do that and how income streams into my life, and I'm trying to not only change how it comes in, but the amount of, so that I have more ability to explore other opportunities. It's good, and for all intents and purposes, I'm happy with what I'm doing and where I'm going, and I feel satisfied with the work that I'm doing, both on my personal path and my professional path. So again, slightly sad that I had to come back into the office this morning, but it's definitely something that I can work through and make something good out of. So, and I think that's really all I had to say today. I feel like I've caught up on everything that I wanted to catch up on.